The story of this forbidden anime begins with Tomoya losing control and making his aunt Kasumi use her karaoke skills to calm his raging All Might. Kasumi is shocked that he would do such a thing, but Tomoya blames her for it. He says he lost control because she kept blatantly flaunting her jiggly personalities in front of him. As the culture rises within her, Kasumi can't stop her apple pie from overflowing with its warm caramelized juices. Not long after that, Tomoya gets too caught up in the moment his All Might accidentally reaches plus ultra and spills the mayonnaise he was carrying. Fortunately, Kasumi quickly catches it and doesn't let any of it go to waste because she follows a zero-waste lifestyle. After that, Tomoya smiles and says they're not done yet. Kasumi realizes he wants to let his All Might unleash his Alabama smash, so she tells him to calm down so they can set up the proper protection protocols for it. Once the necessary preparations are done, Kasumi gives Tomoya the green light to let his All Might unleash the Alabama smash to his heart's content. Tomoya is overwhelmed by how amazingly out of this world Kasumi's apple pie is. He can't help himself and also gets a good grasp of her bouncy personality as his All Might unleashes its Alabama smash over and over again. Eventually, when the time is right, Tomoya passes out smiling after his All Might reaches plus ultra and accidentally spills its mayonnaise again. When Tomoya wakes up in the morning, he quickly realizes what he's done. As he sees Kasumi off for her long business trip, Tomoya can't help but feel ashamed for going plus ultra on her the other night. Of course, Kasumi realizes this and tells him to think of it as a man's qualification for being a provider. She then says that he'll be in for something very nice if he just shows more of his manly side. She tells him that it might be what Iima and Sayuri are waiting for. When Tomoya wakes up the next day, he accidentally buries his face in Iima's bouncy personality. Moreover, his All Might has sensed Iima's apple pie nearby and has entered rage mode. Iima notices his All Might and hurries to take it out so it can breathe some fresh air. However, they both incur the wrath of Sayuri, who accidentally walks into the room and catches them in 8K. Sayuri scolds Iima for what she's done, but it seems Iima can't really do anything about it because she's just built that way. Tomoya doesn't seem to be bothered that much about it and simply recalls being adopted into their family. He thinks about the differences between Iima and Sayuri. Iima is the free-spirited sister while Sayuri is the more demure one. When Sayuri leaves, Iima turns her attention to Tomoya's All Might again. It turns out that it has been part of Iima's daily routine to train his All Might. However, she always stops before it reaches plus ultra, which is something that is driving Tomoya to his wit's end. One afternoon when he gets home, Tomoya sees Iima sleeping and defenseless. He fails to hold back and takes advantage of the opportunity to sample her warm apple pie. Of course, Iima wakes up and calls him out for being sneaky. Surprisingly, instead of getting angry, she tells him to finish what he started. So, Tomoya goes on to unleash his mukbang skills on Iima's apple pie. After that, Iima suffocates his All Might with her twin personalities until it reaches plus ultra and spills all the mayonnaise it was carrying from the convenience store. With so much culture boiling within him, Tomoya tells Iima that he can no longer hold back. This time around, she acknowledges his feelings and tells him to go ahead and let his All Might practice his Alabama smash on her apple pie. Since with great power comes great responsibility, Tomoya suggests they should apply the proper protection protocols. However, Iima says she doesn't want to because she's a follower of the organic and all-natural lifestyle. After that, Tomoya wastes no time and lets his All Might unleash the full brunt of his Alabama smash into Iima's warm apple pie over and over again. He can't help but praise how amazing her apple pie is, but eventually, he gets bothered when he wonders if Iima has been sharing her apple pie with others. Iima can't help but mess with Tomoya and doesn't give him a straight answer, which leads to Tomoya suddenly letting his All Might get fiercer with his Alabama smashes. Realizing he's getting jealous, Iima reveals that she hasn't shared her apple pie with anyone else except him. The revelation makes Tomoya very happy and he goes on to deliver even stronger Alabama smashes. Eventually, when the time is right, his All Might reaches plus ultra and forgets about the mayonnaise it was carrying, accidentally spilling it directly into Iima's apple pie. As Iima gasps for air, she tells Tomoya that starting from that day, he can have her apple pie wherever and whenever he wants. So, he takes her up on her offer and continues to Alabama smash the living daylights out of her apple pie for the rest of the day. During their final sparring session for the day, Tomoya says they should hurry because Sayuri might arrive home any moment. As always, Iima doesn't pay too much attention to it, saying he's worrying too much. However, what they don't know is that Sayuri is already home and that she is already in a state of shock after watching for some time now. On one evening, Tomoya lets his All Might practice its Alabama smash on Iima's apple pie again. They then talk about Sayuri, who has been sleeping a lot recently, and why they're able to have their sparring sessions more frequently because of it. While that happens, Sayuri is actually outside listening to all the cultural sounds they are making while practicing her self-reliance skills. It seems she has been secretly watching their sparring sessions for a while now, which is why her daily routine has been messed up. Since she got too caught up in practicing her self-reliance skills, Sayuri doesn't notice that Tomoya and Iima are done with their sparring session. Realizing that Tomoya is about to go out, Sayuri hurries out, leaving behind several puddles of her apple pie's caramelized juices on the floor. In the morning, Sayuri is in panic mode because she wakes up late again. When she gets downstairs, she sees Iima and Tomoya having fun making breakfast. She then notices how close the two have become and can't help but feel a little jealous. Later that day, Sayuri and Tomoya are alone in the house because Iima is out on a 3-day trip. Sayuri goes to the living room where Tomoya is lounging to tell him he can already take a bath. She then asked if he could help her out for a bit with some stretches. When he turns around, Tomoya is surprised because Sayuri is wearing her gym clothes, which are a little too revealing. Sayuri, who feels a little embarrassed, explains that it can't be helped because it's the proper attire for practicing calisthenics. Since she tends to overthink things, Sayuri still feels worried that Tomoya might still misunderstand. So, she goes on to further explain that it'll be sweltering that night, so even she has to wear such clothes to cool down. During the exercise session, a tense atmosphere develops between Tomoya and Sayuri. However, despite things being awkward, Sayuri pushes on. As for Tomoya, he's desperately trying to get his All Might under control but struggles because he keeps on brushing into Sayuri's bouncy personality. On top of that, the sweet and sour scent she's producing because of the exercise is making things even more difficult for him. Eventually, they reach the end of Sayuri's stretching routine. For the final pose, Tomoya sees that her apple pie is overflowing with its warm caramelized juices. Sayuri tries to brush it off as her sweat, but Tomoya won't be fooled. He confronts her about it, asking if she's trying to get cultural with him. Sayuri is speechless because it seems Tomoya has exposed her true intentions. Seeing this, Tomoya stops holding back and goes on to carefully inspect her warm apple pie. He then tells her it's quite obvious when her apple pie is overflowing uncontrollably with so much of its caramelized juices. Of course, Sayuri continues to deny it, so Tomoya continues to make the culture rise within her until she becomes more honest. He goes on to expose her twin personalities and try to get a better grasp of them. He challenges her, saying that if he's wrong, she should use her strength to stop him. However, Sayuri doesn't, because no matter how embarrassing the situation is for her, it's actually what she wanted this entire time. Since he's confirmed she's not against it, Tomoya reveals his raging All Might to Sayuri. He then says he is aware that Sayuri already knows about what's happening between him and Iima. So, he's confident that she knows what she has to do next. Sayuri is stunned by how majestic Tomoya's All Might is. At that point, she knows it's already impossible for her to stop the culture within her from taking control. So, she finally stops restricting herself and goes on to use her karaoke skills to calm his raging All Might. Eventually, when the time is right, Tomoya is unable to stop his All Might from reaching plus ultra and accidentally spilling its mayonnaise again. Of course, since she also follows a zero-waste lifestyle, Sayuri quickly cleans up all the mayonnaise, ensuring not a single drop is wasted. After that, They move to Sayuri's room where she puts on her leotard to get ready for an even more serious sparring session. Seeing her in such an outfit, Tomoya's All Might goes berserk more than ever. He tells Sayuri to beg for his All Might to rescue her apple pie, and when she does, Tomoya stops holding back and lets his All Might unleash the Alabama Smash. Noticing that the seal of freshness for her apple pie has already been broken, Tomoya can't help but ask if Sayuri has actually shared it with someone else before. Sayuri acts embarrassed and seemingly doesn't want to answer the question. However, she quickly changes her mind when Tomoya says he's going to cancel the sparring session if she doesn't answer. Sayuri reveals that her safety seal was accidentally broken when she was thinking of him while practicing her self-reliance skills. Tomoya is surprised with her answer and can't stop himself from increasing the ferocity of his All Might's Alabama smashes, easily overwhelming Sayuri. Then, out of nowhere, Tomoya says that he feels Sayuri's apple pie is much better than that of Iima. Realizing she has a chance of surpassing Iima, Sayuri throws whatever modesty she has left out of the window. She lets the culture within her run wild and take over, asking Tomoya to turn her brain into goo. Of course, since he's a respectful person, Tomoya doesn't hesitate to accept her request. He lets his All Might unleash the fiercest Alabama smashes repeatedly until he can no longer hold back and reach plus ultra. Sayuri's mind short-circuits and melts after she steps on Legos while Tomoya's All Might accidentally spills the buckets of mayonnaise it ordered online directly into her apple pie. 3 days later, Iima is on her way home. Meanwhile, Tomoya is letting his All Might rampage on Sayuri's apple pie while waiting by their front door. He can't wait to show Iima what Sayuri has now turned into. As for Sayuri, she can't do anything anymore because she's already lost all control of herself. Then, when Iima opens the door, Sayuri happily welcomes her home.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.